Hey everyone, and welcome to The Game Code, Atlantic Canada's only video game show. I'm your host, Stephanie Pelley, and I hope that you've all had a wonderful and safe holiday season. At The Game Code, we've been celebrating our holiday exactly how you would expect, by playing some of the most popular latest game releases. For most gamers, this is a time to catch up on some of those titles you've been meaning to play, and the holiday season is kind of like the Super Bowl to us, as the most anticipated games of the year are traditionally released just in time to get them wrapped and under a tree. Since the holidays are also a chance to spend time with the people you care about, we've brought back some friends of the show to give us a breakdown of some of the games you've seen hyped all year. With us we have the Game Code staff, Ian and Mike, along with Adam to talk about what they've been playing this holiday season. So all brand spanking new titles. Ian, let's get started. What have you been playing the last couple of weeks?
Well, Stephanie, first let's acknowledge that Adam really hates Black Ops, and personally I'm not a huge fan of the franchise, but let's be honest, how could I resist not playing the biggest shooter of the year? So, and plus the game with, horses and lasers coming in together, and things are happening around Christmas time. I think it's fun and great, and it's wonderful.
All right, let's go, bitch.
That's when they figured it out.
The biggest shooter of the year is finally here. Rooted in the near-future fiction, Treyarch's latest Call of Duty Black Ops 2 is up for a run against the epically successful previous titles in the COD series, such as Modern Warfare 3, the original Black Ops, and Modern Warfare 2. Black Ops 2 isn't just another Call of Duty in the series, as Treyarch makes quite a few brave design decisions, improves on many elements of the game, and strays into new territory with storytelling, evolving Call of Duty into something new and exciting. Black Ops 2 definitely sets a new standard for what the fans can expect from the series. With so much going on, we'll break down the review into 3 parts and talk about each of them individually, starting with the single-player campaign, then the multiplayer, and finally the zombie mode.
Man was one tough son of a bitch. Bet your ass he was.
The campaign in Black Ops 2 does not disappoint at all. I don't want to get too far ahead, but I will say that this was the best campaign in the COD series since Modern Warfare 2. Yes, it does have everything we usually see in the COD series: the vehicle combat, stealth missions, epic scale battles, and other staples of COD experience. Among the new things in Black Ops 2, we see much bigger focus on storytelling and immersing player in the story. Treyarch brings in face capture tech that rivals that of Mass Effect 3, cutscenes that connect the story pieces together, and finally a good story that captures the attention and is simply interesting to follow. You'll be happy to see quite a few characters from the original Black Ops make a return in many missions throughout the campaign. When the story takes you to the near future of 2025, you play as the main protagonist David Mason, the son of Alex Mason from the original Black Ops. The story does skip back and forth quite a bit, but it is done in a way that makes sense and does not confuse the player. The main villain of the story is Raul Menendez, a character that is really well developed, and as the story progresses and more things are revealed about Menendez, the player will find themselves in a difficult position of even sympathizing with the main evil guy. Another great element that Treyarch added to the game that adds so much to the replayability of Black Ops 2 is the fact that the player gets to shape the outcome of the whole game by making decisions throughout the campaign. Most of the time you're faced with binary choices that are obvious and in your face, but you're also given choices that are more subtle and have to do with mission objectives and how well you're following the story. Some of the characters can live or die depending on the player choice, which is a very interesting step by Treyarch in which they borrow some RPG story elements and successfully inject the formula into the game. The combat in Black Ops 2 builds on an already established formula. What is important to note is that the combat and the gameplay varies quite a lot as the player goes from the Cold War era weapons and gadgets to the futuristic tech of 2025. This time, the player also gets a chance to customize the equipment before starting a new mission, keeping the gameplay fun and interesting as you're constantly given a choice of new tools to do your thing. On the downside of the campaign are the optional Strike Force missions, where a player gets to control a few combat units to complete an objective, which is a great concept as it adds strategic element to the gameplay. However, in reality the controls in these missions are not the best and leave much to be desired, sucking the fun out of these missions since the player does most of the work, turning all of the friendlies into walking meat shields. Personally, I skipped all of the Strike Force missions in my second playthrough as they were more frustrating than fun. The multiplayer in Black Ops 2 also went through some changes and additions. As you launch the multiplayer, you're given a choice of playing in regular mode, which we're all used to, practice mode, which allows you to try out things against bots but still get the experience and level up, and a brand new League mode, which attempts to introduce ranked play into Black Ops 2 and places players in matches based on their performance and skill. Another big change can be seen in the loadout screen, where a player can pick up to 10 items for each class, which is all a part of a new loadout system added by Treyarch, where each perk or piece of equipment costs 1 point and allows the player to customize the loadout to fit his or her playstyle, right down to the amount of secondary grenades, or even change the total number of perks. This is by far the most class and weapon customization we've ever seen in a Call of Duty game. We see the return of the classic multiplayer modes such as Free-for-All, Team Deathmatch, Search and Destroy, Capture the Flag, and others. In addition, we get 2 brand new modes, Hardpoint, which is similar to King of the Hill and Domination, and multi-team battles, bringing a whole new dimension to the multiplayer and multi-team combat. We also see the return of Kill Confirmed, Gun Game, and other modes you can lose hours on. Theater mode is also included at launch, allowing players to record their matches, share with friends, and cast them. Among the smaller things, I have to mention that the weapons seem to be quite balanced, especially when compared to the previous COD games. Quickscoping is also nerfed, which in my opinion is a step in the right direction, bringing a better balance to the game. Last but not least, let's just say that the multiplayer is plain fun. Lots of modes, lots of customization, and lots of ways to have fun with your friends. Finally, the Zombies mode. We see the return of the standard survival mode in which you fight waves of zombies unlocking new rooms and weapons, but on top of that, Treyarch also brings in a new mode called the Transit mode, which, if broken down, is still a survival mode in its mechanics, but with a way bigger world you can travel via a defensible bus as zombies chase after you and climb on top of your only means to travel. This adds even more replayability and exploration to the mode, giving it less of a linear progression feel and more of an adventure. But that's not everything. Treyarch also added a grief mode where you compete with another team of 4 by trying to survive longer and score more points. You cannot directly hurt the opposing team, which is competing for the same resources you are, and is trying to funnel the zombies on top of you so you can be torn to pieces. This mode feels pretty chaotic at times, but is incredibly fun to play. Finally, Treyarch is also giving us a custom game mode, giving us the power to create the zombie game we want with our own custom rules and restrictions. In conclusion, Black Ops 2 brings an amazing and an emotional campaign, adding player choice that affects the outcome of the story. The multiplayer brings a lot of modes, is balanced, and has a fantastic customization system. On top of all of this, we get an awesome zombies mode, giving us additional hours and hours of playtime. If you're a fan of the COD franchise, or if you're just considering trying COD out, we definitely recommend giving Black Ops 2 a shot.
Well, I've never been shy about the fact that I'm a fan of World of Warcraft. So of course I was pretty excited to get my hands on the latest expansion, Mists of Pandaria, which you'll still see Blizzard promoting the hell out of if you watch any kind of primetime television. But with all the hype ever since BlizzCon in 2011, it was unlikely I wasn't going to throw myself back into Azeroth for the sake of trying this one out.
When it was announced at BlizzCon in 2011 that the next World of Warcraft expansion pack would be based on a cartoony panda bear race, you could almost hear the existing WoW player community collectively gasp, all 9 million of them. Add in the fact that Blizzard is apparently going to build this within a world of every conceivable Asian stereotype, the concept seemed to be borderline on shallow, if not outright racist at times. Fast forward to a year and a half and you'll see that Mists of Pandaria goes little beyond the initial kung fu concept that many had initially dismissed it as. It's in the opening of Mist where we really get back to basics of the Warcraft series. Any player who lives for the Alliance vs Horde rivalry will be delighted to be thrown headfirst back into it, as both factions land almost simultaneously on the lost continent of Pandaria, with each side eager to colonize their new discovery as their own. A strong element to this new expansion is in its storytelling, especially during the questing stream. You're going to see much more voice-over dialogue than in previous packs and meet more memorable characters whose story unravel throughout the new content. Encounters with folks like Lore Walker Cho and Chen Stormstout really bring the player back to the questing experience and make it feel less of a grind and more about story progression. This is brought to life through much more cutscenes and is also played up in instance dungeons, which are much more about lore-enhancing encounters than kill, 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 mob after mob dungeons you've seen in previous expansions. There's been a level of care taken here to at least try to keep the player from robotically clicking through the quests, and instead recommending they take the time to read, listen, and learn. Unfortunately, players have been conditioned up until this point to do the exact opposite, so some of the storytelling elements will likely be lost to a conventional playing style. And what else could you expect from Warcraft? Even in Myst, the majority of the quests are taking you through a traditional hunting and gathering achievements, and get boring and redundant after a while, no matter how soothingly calm the voiceover is. One thing that's definitely a win for this expansion is in the environments. The new areas of Pandaria are breathtaking, and the architecture of the old Asian-style buildings is stunning. The Jade Forest and the Vale of Eternal Blossoms are particularly eye-catching. It's almost worth your while to just jump in a few flight paths and be a tourist. Both the Pandaren starting zone of the Wandering Isle and the 7 new questing zones of the main continent are colorful eye candy that take advantage of the level of size and span that World of Warcraft allows. Some of the new features that have been added on to Myst of Pandaria have really helped to improve and extend core gameplay. The inclusion of the Monk class is a great add-on, and is very reminiscent of the Monk style of play from other Blizzard games such as Diablo. This class is available to all races with the exception of Goblins and Worgen, and uses Chi as its primary resource. The pet battle system is a great add-on for bringing some more engagement out of the pet system. Rather than just following you around, the pets can now be leveled, learn abilities, and do battle against other players as well as NPCs. Finally, the talent tiers serve to streamline some of the ability choices available to players, which is particularly useful if you do play a hybrid class in the game. The only problem here is it's really an enjoy it while you can scenario, though. There really is only so much that you can do before you're back to the traditional playability of WoW, and while Blizzard has taken some steps to improve endgame content, most players will find themselves right back to the monotony of daily quests, reputation gains, or running through the same dungeons and raids over and over in hopes of a specific item drop. If you're a long-time dedicated World of Warcraft player, Myst of Pandaria is certainly worth playing and continuing your experience on, as it does offer quite a bit of new content and is enjoyable to play. If you're a semi-dedicated player that might be on hiatus, it is even actually a compelling reason to come back to the fold, even if only for a few weeks or months. However, as soon as this new content is complete, both hardcore and casual players can expect to be back to the traditional grind, and probably won't keep the dedicated fans happy for too long. If you are a new player, there probably isn't enough in this expansion to convince someone to pick up the game, especially if you've managed to resist it this long. Myst shouldn't be the catalyst that will delve new people into the depths of World of Warcraft. And if you've played any other MMOs over the past few years, World of Warcraft is going to look extremely dated. And let's be honest here, we're talking about a base game that's already 8 years old. The truth of the matter is, despite what Blizzard intended this to be, Myst of Pandaria is just some good bonus content for the already converted, which is a little laughable considering the initial idea of hokey Kung Fu Panda Bears was perceived by the existing fan base as pandering to a younger demographic of casual players. Now how about that for ironic?
What is worth fighting for?
And we're going to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere because next up, we have Mike who will be bringing us his thoughts on Assassin's Creed 3.